The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi students, how are you all? ഓണാഘോഷമൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞ് സന്തോഷത്തിലാണല്ലോ അല്ലേ? അതോ ക്ഷീണത്തിലായോ? അപ്പൊ ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഉഷാറാവാം അല്ലേ? നമുക്ക് കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യാം. A few of your friends are here to provide us all a recap on the previous topics. Let's listen to them.
Hi friends, I'm Akshara from 10th D. I am here with the recap of Second World War. Second World War begins 20 years after the end of First World War. It lasted from 1939 to 1945. Following the peace treaty at Paris in 1919, victorious nations shared colonies of defeated nation. Italy and Germany had no colony or market. For enhancing their economic and political stability, Italy and Germany planned to conquer the weak nations. To extend this policy, Italy, Germany, along with Japan, formed an alliance called Axis Powers. Contouring this, Britain, France, and China formed allied powers. Later, America and Soviet Union also joined the anti-fascist alliance. The League of Nations failed to stop the attacks from Axis power. When Germany, Italy, and Japan attacked other nations, capitalist nations like Britain and France didn't prevent the attacks. Britain and France considered the socialist Russia as their chief enemy. This policy, which encouraged the fascist attacks, is known as policy of appeasement. On 1st September 1939, Germany attacked Poland. This promoted the allied nation to declare the war against Germany that ultimately resulted in the outbreak of Second World War. Thank you all.
Hi, I'm Kirtana. I'm here with the recap of the second chapter, Effects of the War. The entry of the Soviet Union and America changed the complexion of the Second World War. Italy and Germany could not withstand the attack, so they surrendered immediately. Mussolini was killed by the local partitions. Hitler committed suicide. The Soviet army moved towards Japan through Trans-Siberia. But before it could reach Japan, the United States of America dropped 2 atom bombs in Japan. Little Boy in Hiroshima on 6 August 1945 and Fat Man in Nagasaki on 9 August. Soon, Japan surrendered. Far-reaching consequences of Second World War. Over 10 million people died. Economic system of the European countries was destroyed. European dominance in the world diminished. Freedom movements in Asia and Africa strengthened. America and Soviet Union emerged as global powers. In a bid to preserve and maintain world peace, the United Nations organization was formed. On the wings of peace, October 24 is observed as United Nations Day. Although the League of Nations was established after the First World War, it failed to maintain the world peace. After the Second World War, efforts were taken to set an organization for preserving the global peace. This resulted in the establishment of United Nations Organization on 24 October 1945. The headquarters of UN is in New York, United States of America. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Nandana from 10D. Now let's discuss about how the colonies become free after the Second World War. After the Second World War, the dominance of imperial powers was questioned, and thus the European colonies was unable to suppress the intensive nationalist movements in colonies. The superpowers after the Second World War the USA, the USSR supported the colonies for freedom fights. As a result, the colonies started to gain freedom from the imperial controls. This process is called decolonization. The freedom fighters who were fought against this was Mahatma Gandhi for India, Nelson Mandela for Africa, Kwame Nkrumah for Ghana, and Jomo Kenyatta for Kenya. Now let's move on to the topic Cold War. The USA and USSR who formed the anti-fascist alliance during the Second World War, but they were parted each other after the war and no longer allies. The reason for the split was ideological differences. While the USA stood for capitalism and the USSR stood for socialism, these alliances came to be known as the capitalist bloc and socialist bloc respectively. The ideological clashes led to the diplomatic and political conflicts was called the Cold War. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshara, Kirtana and Nandana. You have done a wonderful job. In the previous classes, we have learned the formation of a bipolar world. Not all countries joined either of the blocs. A few countries chose not to join any of the blocs. This decision made by a few countries not to join any of the blocs is called non-allied movement. These are the leaders: Jawaharlal Nehru from India, Gamal Abdel Nasser from Egypt, Marshal Tito from Yugoslavia, Ahmad Sukarno from Indonesia, who introduced the concept of non-alignment movement instead of capitalist bloc and socialist bloc. After Second World War, many Asian, African and Latin American countries became independent. They realized Cold War was yet another phase of imperialism and that would threaten world peace. The liberated nations decided not to join any of the blocs and formed the non-allied movement. They understood that the rise of superpowers for weapons and a stronger military force would pose harm to them. They realized that only a world without wars and conflicts accelerated the economic and social development. The idea of non-allied movement was suggested first at a meeting held in Bandung, Indonesia in 1955. The first conference of non-allied countries was held in Belgrade in 1961. Jawaharlal Nehru's words indicating the objectives of the movement. Non-alignment doesn't mean to keep aloof from world affairs, rather it is to face many issues we confront. ജവഹർലാൽ നെഹ്റുവിന്റെ വാക്കുകളിൽ നിന്ന് വ്യക്തമാണ്, ചേരിചേരാ പ്രസ്ഥാനം എന്നാൽ ലോകം നേരിടുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് അകന്നു മാറി നിൽക്കുകയല്ല, ലോകം അഭിമുഖീകരിക്കുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങളിൽ സജീവമായി ഇടപെടുക എന്ന നയമാണ് അതുകൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത്. Till now, we have discussed the important events which took place all over the world after Second World War. Here is a conflict which was born after Second World War and is still continuing in today's world. Okay, the next topic, West Asia. Today, I came bearing an olive branch in one hand and the freedom fighter's gun in the other. Don't let the olive leaves fall from my hand. This is an extract from the speech delivered by the chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, Yasser Arafat, in the UN Assembly in 1974. What would be the circumstances that prompted him to deliver such a speech? Until First World War, the territory including Palestine was a part of Turkish Empire. As Turkey was defeated in the war, Britain took over the region. Since the Jews helped Britain in the war, then the British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour declared the establishment of a Jewish nation in West Asia as a reward. It is known as Balfour Declaration. ഒന്നാം ലോക മഹായുദ്ധം വരെയും തുർക്കി സാമ്രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിരുന്നു പാലസ്തീൻ. ഒന്നാം ലോക മഹായുദ്ധത്തിൽ തുർക്കി പരാജയപ്പെട്ടപ്പോൾ ബ്രിട്ടൻ ആ പ്രദേശത്തിന്റെ നിയന്ത്രണം ഏറ്റെടുത്തു. യുദ്ധത്തിൽ ബ്രിട്ടനെ ജൂതന്മാർ സഹായിച്ചപ്പോൾ വെസ്റ്റ് ഏഷ്യയിൽ അവരുടേതായ ഒരു രാജ്യം രൂപീകരിക്കാൻ സഹായിക്കാം എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു റിവാർഡായിട്ട് ബ്രിട്ടൻ കൊടുത്തിരുന്നത്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് വി ഹാവ് ടു ഡിസ്കസ് വാട്ട് ഈസ് സിയോണിസം. Zionism is an international movement with an objective of the establishment of homeland for the Jews. We have already discussed the assault and cruelty of Hitler towards the Jews. നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം ഹിറ്റ്ലർ ജൂതന്മാരെ അവരുടെ ശത്രുക്കളായി കണക്കാക്കി അവരെ കൊന്നൊടുക്കിയത് അത് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിരുന്നു. This intensified the demand for a separate Jewish state. In 1948, the nation Israel, the Jewish state, was formed. Consequently, many wars broke out between Israel and the Arab nations. Israel seized Palestine, expelling the Palestinians from their homeland. The Palestinian refugees migrated to various Arab countries. In this situation, with an objective of establishing a nation for the Palestinians, a movement called Palestine Liberation Organization (PLO) was founded with Yasser Arafat as the president. After a series of bloodsheds and massacres, Israel agreed in principle to recognize Palestine as a free nation. This agreement, mediated by the US, is called the Oslo Pact 1993. But the provisions in the pact are yet to be implemented. ഇന്നും ആ പ്രശ്നം പൂർണ്ണമായും സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല. We know that America and Soviet Union emerged as superpowers after Second World War. But USSR did not last long as a superpower. Let us examine the circumstances which led to the disintegration of Soviet Union. The administrative measures of Mikhail Gorbachev, then the president of USSR. Deviation from the basic principles of socialism. Corruption and inefficiency of the bureaucracy. Failure in bringing about changes in economic sector. These are the circumstances which led to the disintegration of Soviet Union. നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം റഷ്യൻ റവല്യൂഷന് ശേഷം USSR ഫോം ചെയ്തത് 1991 അന്നത്തെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ആയിരുന്ന ഗോർബച്ചേവിന്റെ പോളിസികൾ കാരണം സോവിയറ്റ് യൂണിയൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ വലിയ രാജ്യം ഇല്ലാതാവുകയായിരുന്നു ചെയ്തത്. With the resignation of Gorbachev as president in 1991, Soviet Union formally ceased to exist. Naturally, this ended the Cold War period. നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം സെക്കൻഡ് വേൾഡ് വാറിന് ശേഷം ബൈപോളാർ വേൾഡ്, സോവിയറ്റ് യൂണിയന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലുള്ള സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് ബ്ലോക്കും അമേരിക്കയുടെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലുള്ള ക്യാപിറ്റലിസ്റ്റ് ബ്ലോക്കും. അപ്പൊ സോവിയറ്റ് യൂണിയൻ ഇല്ലാതായ, സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് ബ്ലോക്ക് ഇല്ലാതായതോടുകൂടി ആ ബൈപോളാർ വേൾഡ് എന്നുള്ളത് ആ കോൾഡ് വാർ പീരീഡും ഇല്ലാതായി. The disintegration of Soviet Union had a wide impact on international relations. A unipolar world has emerged under the leadership of the USA in the place of a bipolar one. Big unipolar world, American dominance. The disintegration of Soviet Union led to the formation of unipolar world with American dominance. Several strategies were adopted by America to establish its dominance over the world. Let's see what they are. Utilizing international agencies, America provided financial and military aids to countries of the world. Extended military alliances. Media were used to promote America's vested interest. Have you heard about the Gulf War? Yes, it was America's imperialist policy that paved the way for the Gulf War. America utilized their military facilities and technological progress in those wars. അതെ, രണ്ടാം ലോക മഹായുദ്ധത്തിന് ശേഷം ഉണ്ടായ പ്രധാന സംഭവങ്ങളിൽ പെട്ടതാണ് ഗൾഫ് യുദ്ധങ്ങൾ. 1991 2003 ഇടയിലായിരുന്നു ഗൾഫ് യുദ്ധങ്ങൾ നടന്നത്. ഇറാഖ് ഭരണാധികാരിയായിരുന്ന സദാം ഹുസൈൻ കുവൈറ്റ് ആക്രമിച്ചതോടുകൂടിയാണ് ഈ യുദ്ധം പൊട്ടിപ്പുറപ്പെട്ടത്. അമേരിക്കയുടെയും ബ്രിട്ടന്റെയും സൈന്യങ്ങൾ ഇറാഖിനെ ആക്രമിച്ച് കുവൈറ്റിനെ മോചിപ്പിച്ചു. പെട്രോളിയം ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങളുടെ നിയന്ത്രണം കൈവശപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത് സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള തർക്കങ്ങളാണ് ഈ യുദ്ധത്തിന് കാരണമായി മാറിയത്. Now we have to move on the next topic, neo-imperialism. We know that what is imperialism. In the previous classes we discussed. Okay, a new kind of imperialism emerged after Second World War This is known as neo-imperialism. Let us discuss the neo-imperialism in detail. What is neo-imperialism? Multinational companies which are registered in a country and functioning in many countries began to interfere in the economic, social and cultural sectors of the latter for serving the interest of the capitalist countries. It is known as neo-imperialism. ഒരു രാജ്യത്ത് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്ത് വിവിധ രാജ്യങ്ങളിലായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന കമ്പനികളാണ് മൾട്ടിനാഷണൽ കമ്പനികൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബഹുരാഷ്ട്ര കമ്പനികൾ. The multinational companies competed with one another to control the resources and assets of the third world countries. They promoted consumerism in third world countries to sell their products. Developing nations were considered as the market for the multinational companies. In fact, the products of the developed nations started reaching even the villages of the developing nations. Due to the pressure from the multinational products and marketing strategies, the economy of many countries started to collapse. Neo-imperialism led to the formation of a new economic policy around the world. The new economic policies were liberalization, privatization and globalization. Let's see what these policies are. Liberalization, adoption of liberal regulations and taxation systems to facilitate the import of multinational products to domestic market. Privatization of public sector undertakings in an attempt to promote private sector. Globalization, economic system of the country linked to the global economy. The interest and motives of the multinational companies protected. Competition-driven market came into existence. Trans-border flow of products, services, raw materials, capital, latest technology and human resources facilitated. Liberalization, ഉദാരവൽക്കരണം. ബഹുരാഷ്ട്ര കമ്പനികളുടെ ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങൾക്കും മൂലധനത്തിനും നിയന്ത്രണങ്ങളില്ലാതെ കടന്നു വരാനായി ഇറക്കുമതി നിയമങ്ങളും നികുതികളും ഉദാരമാക്കി. പ്രൈവറ്റൈസേഷൻ, സ്വകാര്യവൽക്കരണം. സ്വകാര്യ മേഖലയെ പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിക്കുന്നതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി പൊതുമേഖലാ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളെ സ്വകാര്യവൽക്കരിച്ചു. ഗ്ലോബലൈസേഷൻ, ആഗോളവൽക്കരണം. രാഷ്ട്രത്തിന്റെ സമ്പദ് വ്യവസ്ഥയെ ആഗോള സമ്പദ് വ്യവസ്ഥയുമായി ബന്ധിപ്പിച്ചു. ബഹുരാഷ്ട്ര കമ്പനികളുടെ താൽപര്യങ്ങൾ സംരക്ഷിക്കപ്പെട്ടു. മത്സരങ്ങളിലൂന്നിയ മാർക്കറ്റുകൾ നിലവിൽ വന്നു. അതിരുകളില്ലാതെ ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങൾ, സേവനങ്ങൾ, വിഭവങ്ങൾ, മൂലധനം, സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യ, മനുഷ്യ വിഭവശേഷി എന്നിവയുടെ ഒഴുക്ക് സൃഷ്ടിക്കപ്പെട്ടു. There are many international organizations which were formed after Second World War. These organizations executed different policies which favored globalization. International organizations such as World Bank, International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organization, etc. are devising and executing various policies in favor of globalization. Globalization opened up many opportunities and possibilities around the world. The transfer of goods, the products and services beyond boundaries, and the dissemination of information and information technology shaped the concept of a global village. Globalization posed some challenges to the developing countries. The intervention of multinational companies challenged the concept of nation state, led to the destruction of indigenous culture. തദ്ദേശീയ സംസ്കാരങ്ങളുടെ തകർച്ചയ്ക്ക് വഴിയൊരുക്കി. പ്രൈസ് ഓഫ് അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ പ്രൊഡക്ട്സ് പ്ലംഡ്, കാർഷികോൽപ്പന്നങ്ങളുടെ വില ഇടിയാനുള്ള കാരണമായി മാറി. പബ്ലിക് സെക്ടർ അണ്ടർടേക്കിംഗ്സ് വെർ ഡിസ്ട്രോയിഡ്, പൊതുമേഖലാ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങൾ തകരാനുള്ള കാരണമായി. ഗവൺമെന്റ് വിഡ്രൂ ഫ്രം സോഷ്യൽ സർവീസ് സെക്ടേഴ്സ്, സാമൂഹിക സേവന മേഖലകളിൽ നിന്ന് സർക്കാരുകൾക്ക് പിന്മാറേണ്ടി വന്നു. Natural resources were looted. So, we have discussed the major events that took place in the 20th century which had significant impacts resulting in the world which we see now. Okay, this ends the chapter. Let us recap what we discussed in this chapter. Okay, thank you.